Y'all, let me tell you how this officer.
That shit clean though, twin.
He talk like us, but he
That
don't
shit
look like us.
clean.
You pulled me over in a Tesla.
Twin, I ain't do that shit.
I was sleeping here, yes sir.
I ain't do that
You
shit.
gave me a warning. I said I didn't see the light. I was trying to follow the maps.
Oh, that was you.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. You was doing all that rah-rah shit.
Oh,
I believe it.
Oh,
was.
It's your
I was in the back seat being a little rah-rah.
This is the book of John, chapter 7, verse 24. Judge not according to their appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Shalom, shalom, Akim. Before I begin, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Alright, peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect who believe in truth and sincerity, and to the few sincere Akwats who believe and are becoming a woman that say Shalom. I'm the brother Gabari Allah, coming at you with another lesson. Alright, and the title of this lesson is Judge Not According to Appearance. Now, in the clip you see before you, it's a viral clip spiraling around where, it would look like, a different nation from Jake. You know, could have been a Moabite, Ammonite, or any other nation, but he spoke and acted just like Jake, you know, just like Jake. And, I took that as an opportunity to make a lesson, and pretty much tell you the importance of not judging based off the skin color, or, based off they looking like a different, race. Because ultimately, we as a people were scattered, as a nation, we were scattered, okay? And when you get scattered, okay, there's going to be Israelites in every different skin tone, every different color, okay? You're going to have Israelites who look like so-called white men. You're going to have Edomites who look like so-called black men. It's all judged based off the spirit, so you can't really rely on the skin color, you know. And that's a doctrine that mainly these other camps push, that give, you know, um, that give this truth a bad reputation, because they think that we judge based off appearance alone, which is not the case. You judge based off the spirit. Okay, so this is the book of John, chapter 7 and verse 24 again. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. So the Lord gave us the spirit of discernment, and with that comes the people, or slack, with that comes the responsibility to actually discern, you know, and you have to discern whether judge based off the spirit, whether it be a Jake or whether it be, another nation, okay? And, you have Jake who look like every nation, you know, like I mentioned before, they look like any nation. So it's not a good idea to judge based just because they got small eyes, okay, or just because they're darker or lighter, you know, um, it's not, it's not a good habit to have. You had to judge based off the spirit, because if you're out there preaching, and it could be a Jake, it could be a Gentile Jake who looked like the whitest person you can know, so-called white. Okay, the whole time he a Jake, you didn't try him by the spirit. You sent him out of his way. You cursed him out. You did whatever you did. And now guess what? The blood is on your hands because you didn't use righteous judgment. You didn't discern well. You didn't judge the spirit. You judged based off appearance. Okay, and that's a very bad you know trait to have, because you have to be a spiritual man. How are you gonna call yourself a spiritual man and you're judging based off carnal skin? Okay, so this is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would have you not slack it. I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. So we were, Gentiles, okay? And pretty much means, an Israelite who was strayed away from being an Israelite, okay? And when you worship these other powers, like I said, we were scattered, okay? We were scattered. Real quick, let me grab that, okay? the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4. Okay, I'm gonna just get to the point. Verse 27. And the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai shall lead you. So, okay, if you are mingled amongst the heathen, there's gonna be a lot of Jake, not just some, a lot of Jake who are gonna look like the heathen. Okay, you're gonna have a lot of Jake who have different skin tones. I myself have a nephew, okay, little nephew, who looks like a so-called white, which he's really a Jake, you know. He got the blue eyes and everything, you know. So it's very bad to be judging based off appearance, okay, and we don't do that, okay. The doctrine of Great Millstone teaches you not to judge based off appearance because you have celebrities who are Jake as well, Eminem, okay, the so-called white man, okay, but he really a Jake in the spirit, a Blake Griffith, he's a Jake. He look like a so-called white man, so it's not a good idea to judge based off appearance alone. Okay, you have to judge their spirit, how they act. Do they act like Jake? Do they move like Jake? Or do they act like their uh their nation? Okay, because the scriptures give us descriptions of how nations will act. All right, Jake is a plain man, meaning you're good at everything. Okay, and if you look at Judah's good at everything. Okay, Judah got all the Judah. That's why Judah the head tribe. All right, Judah good at everything. Okay, but you can also see or you can see someone who looks like the other nations. Okay, and if they're blessed with gift or something, that could be indication that they're Jake. You know that could be indication that they're Jake, and you don't want to shoo away your people just because they look like another nation. Okay, so you have to be very careful and use your spiritual guidance, that the Lord has given us, has blessed us with, and move with like that. You cannot move like one of these people, like an individual of this world who judge based off appearance alone. No, you have to judge based off the spirit. Are they kind? How do they move? What are their mannerisms? How do they speak? How do they talk? How do they carry themselves? Do they act sodomish? Do they act with respect and care, or do they act like a fucking straight damn hunter? All you want to do is hunt. Eat red fucking raw meat. Straight Edomite activity. Then okay, that's indication that he's a Edomite. Okay, and it's really simple when you look at how the way they act, because they cannot hide how you act. Jake cannot hide how you act as Jake. You're just gonna act like Jake. You cannot hide that because that's given to you by Yahweh Shem Shai. That spirit has been placed unto you by Yahweh Shem Shai. So you cannot hide that. Okay. Now I'm gonna close out on Hosea chapter 1. I'm gonna start at verse. I'll just get to the point, man. Verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. Okay, and when you go to the ocean, you cannot number the sand of the sea. It's too much. Every little grain is if you just get one handful of sand, you cannot number that if you count it for the whole rest of your life. That's a lot. All right, so that's how many. The Lord is saying, look, there's going to be a lot of children of Israel. There's 12 tribes in the nation of Israel, 12 of them. Okay, all across the world. So yes, they're going to look like these other nations. Okay, and you're going to have Jake who look like other Jake. You're going to have a so-called, you're going to have someone from the tribe of Judah, a so-called black man, look like a Mexican. A so-called Mexican. You're going to have a so-called Mexican, Issachar, you're going to have, brothers who look like Issachar who are really from Judah. So, and again, it expands even outwardly. You're going to have Jake that look like heathen, and you're going to have heathen that look like Jake. So you cannot judge based off of, the black brother, you black brother, you, no. How do they carry themselves? It could just be a chocolate covered, Edomite. It reads on, which cannot be measured nor numbered, and it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power. And that's exactly what's going on now, the great awakening of the nation of Israel. Okay, so, I just wanted to bring that out real quick, make a small lesson, a short lesson, which, Lord willing, was edifying. Lord willing, was uplifting. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Hashai. Double honor yet again to the elders and apostles, Millstone, who will teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations unto the whole elect. Shalom.